That's why what we try to do, the directors and writers, we try to amuse each other.
Suppose I click off some of your famous characters, and you tell me what you found to be their essential characteristic. Bugs Bunny.
Well, let me first establish the point that Bugs Bunny was a different kind of a rabbit, in that most rabbits have hundreds of children, and Bugs had, say, 4 fathers, Tex Avery and Bob Clampett and Friz Freleng and I. And Friz and I and Bob McKimson directed all the cartoons from 48 on, because that was when Clampett left in the 46. So we directed all the last 15 years of the cartoons. But Bugs started out as a crazy person, and then a crazy animal, if you like. But we realized it's a heck of a lot more fun to play like you're crazy than it is to be crazy. So he had short legs, and he bounced around with, with bent legs and that kind of thing. But then he became a much more elegant character. The parallel of that would be Chaplin, because Chaplin had elegant and beautiful mannerisms and so on. Just like Jack Benny, Benny had the most elegant manners in the world. He'd cross his arms and look around like this and say, well, well, he was supposed to be a miser. Misers don't do that. Misers are like this, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then he'd come out and he'd put his finger up like this. He said 3 fingers are funny and 4 fingers aren't. True, but nobody knows why. And Mel Blanc said that actually what happened was that Mary caught him kissing a chorus girl, and he got 3 scratches down his cheek for his pleasures. And so that when he came out that night, he kept 3 fingers up there to cover the scratches. Well, it's a nice story anyway.
Daffy Duck.
Well, Daffy Duck is very much like me, I guess. I dream about being Bugs Bunny, and I wake up and I'm Daffy Duck. I mean, there's no question of that. Or the Coyote. And but Daffy was patterned after one of our producers, whose name, his initials were Leon, and he would say to us, "I'm not going to be nice to people on the way up, because I'm not coming back down." And that's Daffy, you see.
This is preposterous. Hey, what's the matter with you anyway? Don't you even know a rabbit when you see one? It's true, Doc. I'm a rabbit, all right. Would you like to shoot me now or wait till you get home? Shoot him now! Shoot him now!
He believed that the world owed him a living, and indeed, as it turned out, it did give him a living. Daffy never achieves that, but his desires are precisely the same.
Elmer Fudd.
The thing that made Elmer Fudd was not his lisp. There are several of the characters that lisp. By the way, you know what a lisp is? It's calling a spade a spade. And, but the thing is that it was his constant fear that somebody was going to interfere with him shooting the rabbit, Because when he came out, it was the fact that he always seemed on the verge of bursting into tears. So he'd say, "Shh, be very quiet. I'm hunting wabbits." To the audience, for God's sake. As though somebody was going to climb up out of the audience and interfere with him.
Say, Doc, are you trying to get yourself in trouble with the law? This ain't rabbit hunting season. It's not?
I think that was the character of the guy. And also, he'd say, I only hunt for the sport of it. He said, I'm a vegetarian.
What of yourself or of someone else do you see in Pepe Le Pew?
Pepe Le Pew is certainly a symbolic character of what I always wanted to be. When I was in high school, I was 6'1", weighed about 124 pounds. And so as I said, I had you could see a side view of him, but you couldn't see a head-on view. I was too thin. And romantically, I was an absolute and complete failure. And anyway, for a lot of reasons, I wasn't attractive. And so I just suppose, and looking back on it, the reason for designing Pepe Le Pew was that he represented everything I wasn't.
Hello, Pepe. one in the middle may remain. The rest of you, another day.
But Pepe is a person who has absolute, he's not an egotist, he's an egoist. It never occurs to him that a girl would be fleeing. You know, he'll say, do not come with me to the Casbah, we'll make beautiful music together right here. That's natural and sensible. So yeah, I love Pepe and envy him.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in a world of my creation.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be no further delays, so I shall attempt to entertain you in my own inimitable fashion.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
What's up, Doc?
Ah, my little darling, it is love at first sight, is it not? No?
There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
He lives in the southwestern American desert, and there are a lot of cliffs there. But analyze the basic structure of a Roadrunner Coyote cartoon, you'll see that the coyote only has one problem, that's himself. The Roadrunner never bothers him beyond coming up behind him and going beep beep. He never hits him, and as far as being hit over the head, the only reason that he'll ever get hit on the head is because if he sets up a trap and the Roadrunner escapes it, and the coyote may get it. But that's again because he patronizes the Acme company, and the Acme company's product is not always reliable.
I forget where I saw this, but you've probably seen it too. It was something in the back of a magazine somewhere, and it was the essential rules of the physical universe of the cartoon. And only one that I remember for sure is the one that says, any object or person, any person, I guess, suspended in air will not drop to the ground until he or she notices that there's nothing beneath them. So the character walks off the Empire State Building, looks around, hangs up there, and only when he looks down and sees the street and the cars and the people below, then looks back at the audience, opens his eyes real wide, realizes it's all over, only then does he drop like a stone.
Yeah, you're right up to that point. He doesn't drop like a stone, he drops in segments. His feet fall out and his head stays in one place. Then his body falls out and his neck is long. And then his head will fall out with one arm when the one arm waves goodbye. Then you look down and you see it like the coyote falling off into the distance, way off into the distance, and then when you hear that plump. And that was a mistake on the part of the editor, or the mixer, when we were putting the picture together, and the character fell off onto the distance. And we used to have loud sound effects no matter how far away they were. Well, he was mixing, putting the sound in it, and he forgot to open what they called the pot in those days, and he forgot about it, and when the thing hit, it hit small, and a little small hit. And the first time I ever heard a mixer laugh, and he laughed so hard he fell out of the chair. And then like the idiot most mixers are, and most everybody else for that matter, he said, well, we got to fix that. I said, Bob, you touch that knob, I'll kill you. What are you laughing at? Why were you laughing? The only time I've ever seen you laugh. And he said, well, it was funny, that's why. I said, well, let's leave it in, huh? Let's make it a small plop. So from that time on, we use small plops.
I'm no psychologist, but I'll tell you this. I was a kid once myself. I have kids. You don't want kids to see humans as actors with blood splattered all over the place,
No.
wielding guns, that sort of thing. But there is no kid who doesn't understand that the coyote gets up again.
Sure.
Kids understand cartoon violence. Now, if you drew a cartoon of a human being, And it was a drawing of you that you could recognize as you, and then you started doing all these violent, sadistic things. That's different than a cartoon guy bouncing off a wall.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But that's the way we felt about it. It was sort of a death and transfiguration situation, which has been used by some pretty elegant people. That's why I went in and made an opera, because, God, you know, some of the naughty things that happen in operas is unbelievable. People are always being fried and thrown off cliffs and so on. Well, last year we did George Doherty, who is a very fine composer and conductor, decided he wanted to do a thing called Bugs on Broadway. And what he did was take all the music out of the cartoon and play a full orchestra against the big screen with Bugs singing and everything. And we put it on Broadway, and people were very responsive to it. When you're making a picture like that, you do not, you play the music straight. It's what happens in front of it that supposedly makes it funny.
For the feature Stay Tuned that comes up this summer, you had to turn John Ritter and Pam Dauber into mice. How'd you do it?
Well, the trick in there is that these poor people get caught up in they are so knocked out and so kind of become couch potatoes to the point where they finally they somehow get spirited into a television set, and they go from different programs to other programs, you know. Sometimes they're in a wrestling match and so on, and that's live action. But at one point they fall into a house and they suddenly find themselves to be mice. And so using their voices, Ritter and Pam Dauber, they seem to work very well. I mean, maybe they've lost their proper position in life. Maybe they should have been mice, because their voices seem to work very well. We had a lot of fun with it.
What?
For a mouse, you look pretty sexy.
Too bad you didn't like the way I looked when I was human.
I always did.
News to me.
I'm sorry.
Surrender. Come out with.
Draw whatever you see and comes to mind, and then I'll ask you some things as you do it.
All right, go ahead and ask me.
Roger Rabbit. I'll just toss out some other famous animated characters. You give me your impression.
Well, the only problem I have with Roger Rabbit, and I think it's a valid one, is that if you make an animated cartoon with live action and animation, and you at the end of the picture you care more about the live action character than you do about the animation character, I think they probably missed somehow.
Did you like Beauty and the Beast?
Loved it.
Why?
I think it should have won. Well, because there again, I mean, I think the animation on the Beast is one of the great pieces of animation I've seen. It was done by a remarkable young man, too.
The Simpsons? You like The Simpsons?
Well, The Simpsons comes out of the same school as Rocky and Bullwinkle. It's really a radio show with some illustrations on it. The way to tell the difference between full animation and limited animation is the difference between is whether if you can turn off the sound and tell what's happening, which you can with Bugs Bunny or with the Disney pictures or anything else, then you are dealing with full animation. But in the case of The Simpsons or any of the Saturday morning stuff, why you are dealing with a character, you're dealing with limited animation, that's all.
So with Rocky and Bullwinkle or any of the things that accompanied it, Peabody and Sherman or whatever, it's all the writing.
Sure, that's right.
And the characters are just kind of vehicles for that.
The difference is it's clever writing.
Oh, very clever writing. Sure.
And that's the point. So I don't have any argument with that. I think that's great.
Let's see what you got here.
Well, it came out pretty good, actually.
So here I am surrounded by, by Bugs and Daffy, one perched on each shoulder.
You notice the Daffy is